This will be the perfect excuse to exterminate enormous number of cows, totally decimate the beef and dairy industries, and force us into this nightmarish future of laboratory-created meat, fake meat, chemicals, etc. So all these things, I don't think you can understand what they're doing with the bird flu without understanding, again, the war on farmers, the 2024 election, and the massive power grab.
You're watching Silver News Daily. Subscribe for more. Imagine a scenario where silver hits an astonishing $350 an ounce. You might think it's impossible, but renowned analyst Alex Newman believes this could be our reality soon. Stay with us as we dive into why this shocking prediction might not be as far-fetched as it sounds, and what it means for you and your investments.
That could be said here. I would say start off by turning off your television and throwing it away. I mean, it's not even fake news anymore. It's not even misinformation. It is psychological terrorism masquerading as fake news. You need to turn it off. I saw a hilarious meme the other day. It was a dad throwing a TV off the balcony. He said, "I'm vaccinating my family against the next pandemic." Stop paying attention to the fake media. You will get nothing useful out of there except trying to figure out, what does the enemy want me to believe? Is I think the best way to understand the ridiculous propaganda that's coming through there. You do want to take good care of your health, of course, and there are a lot of good ways to do it. Start by eating good food. Start by moving around a little bit. Go for a walk. Lift a couple of weights. Go for a jog. Do some physical activity. Your body needs to move. Get the right supplements. So one of the things that I did early on when I started hearing this hysteria about the bird flu was I went to the frontline critical care COVID doctors, the FLCCC, led by some really, really great doctors who I've interviewed many times. So what is their protocol for treating bird flu? And I made sure I had access to all of those medications. And I encourage everybody to talk with their doctor. If you have a quack establishment hack that went along with the narrative last time, you might want to find a new doctor. But anyways, talk to your healthcare professional about what you may want to have on hand in the event of some kind of pandemic, whether it be a bird flu or anything else, and make sure you have reasonable supplies for that. Prepare for the possibility of another lockdown, right? The totalitarians figured out how effective that was at destroying small businesses, destroying jobs, destroying churches, destroying families. Make sure you are prepared to not have to punch people at Walmart to get toilet paper if and when something like that were to happen again. But most importantly, lean on God. Do not be afraid. These people are counting on you being terrified so that you'll be willing to accept things that you would never accept otherwise, so that you'll stop thinking critically about what's being said. So do not be afraid. Period. And I think the easiest way to do that is be in prayer, read your Bible, recognize that God's in control. Do not succumb to the fear porn and the propaganda that is being pumped out at you, because I guarantee you, if you fall for the fear, you will make bad decisions. And we saw it so clearly over the last few years. We must resist the temptation to be fearful.
As we navigate through these uncertain times, the global economy faces a multitude of challenges. The potential for new pandemics looms large, creating waves of uncertainty and fear in the financial markets. Central banks and governments are tightening their grip on resources, leading to increased centralization and control. This backdrop of heightened economic instability and resource scarcity makes the case for secure investments more compelling than ever. Precious metals like silver are gaining attention as safe havens. Let's explore how these dynamics are setting the stage for a potential surge in silver prices. To understand the potential for silver to reach $350 an ounce, we need to look back at its historical performance during times of economic uncertainty. Silver has a long-standing reputation as a safe haven asset, often outperforming other investments during periods of market instability and economic turmoil. Let's dive deep into the annals of history to see how silver has behaved under similar circumstances. One of the most notable periods was the late 1970s and early 1980s, a time marked by high inflation, geopolitical tension, and economic uncertainty. During this period, silver prices soared, reaching an all-time high of nearly $50 an ounce in 1980. This spike was driven by a combination of factors, including the Hunt brothers' attempt to corner the silver market, rampant inflation, and a lack of confidence in fiat currencies. Adjusted for inflation, the $50 peak would be equivalent to around $150 today. This historical event illustrates how external pressures and market dynamics can lead to significant increases in silver prices. Another significant period for silver was the global financial crisis of 2008. As the housing market collapsed and major financial institutions faced insolvency, investors flocked to precious metals. Between 2008 and 2011, silver prices climbed from about $11 an ounce to nearly $50 an ounce. This dramatic increase was fueled by a loss of confidence in the banking system, widespread economic uncertainty, and unprecedented monetary easing by central banks around the world. Investors sought the stability and security that tangible assets like silver could provide during such turbulent times. More recently, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we witnessed another surge in silver prices. In 2020, as the pandemic spread and economies went into lockdown, the demand for silver initially dipped due to industrial shutdowns. However, as governments rolled out massive stimulus packages and central banks cut interest rates to near zero, silver prices began to rise sharply. By August 2020, silver had reached over $29 an ounce, nearly doubling from its March lows. This was driven by investors seeking a hedge against potential inflation and currency devaluation, as well as a renewed interest in silver for its industrial uses, particularly in technology and green energy sectors. These historical precedents highlight a pattern. During times of economic distress, uncertainty, and inflation, silver tends to perform exceptionally well. The metal's intrinsic value, combined with its diverse industrial applications, makes it a reliable store of value. Unlike paper currencies, silver cannot be printed at will, and its supply is relatively limited, adding to its appeal during periods of financial instability. Looking at these trends, we can see why experts like Newman are predicting a significant rise in silver prices. The conditions today are strikingly similar to those past crises. Economic uncertainty due to potential new pandemics, central banks' aggressive monetary policies, and increased demand for silver in industrial applications, particularly in green technologies. With inflationary pressures building and the global economy facing unprecedented challenges, the stage is set for silver to once again prove its worth as a safe haven asset. In conclusion, silver's historical performance during times of economic uncertainty and turmoil provides a compelling case for its potential future surge. As we face the possibility of new pandemics, centralization of resources, and economic disruptions, silver's role as a secure investment becomes increasingly important. The patterns of the past suggest that Newman's prediction of silver reaching $350 an ounce might not be as implausible as it seems, especially when considering the metal's track record in similar circumstances.
Pandemic on us, and I didn't have any kind of crystal ball or any kind of special insight. They've been telling us that they were going to do this. In fact, the former head of the CDC, Robert Redmond, I believe his name is, announced over 2 years ago he was concerned that the COVID was going to look minor by comparison with the coming bird flu that he said could kill as many as half of all Americans. Now, bird flu on its own is actually not that frightening. And I know the World Health Organization is claiming, apparently falsely, misinformation, that the first human victim has now died from bird flu down in Mexico, although the Mexican health minister quickly came out and said that was fake news. The WHO is not telling the truth. They said this guy died actually from kidney failure and lung failure, not from bird flu. Now, bird flu by itself, again, is not all that concerning. Weaponized bird flu, which we know they've been working on in these BSL-4 laboratories, not just in the United States, but in other countries as well, that is very, very dangerous. Potentially, at least, and even more dangerous when you remember what they did to us the last time around. They deprived us of legitimate medical treatments proven to work that we can't mention here to avoid getting you in trouble, and they forced us to endure fake treatments that even the WHO said were likely to shut down your liver, or shut down your kidneys, etc. I'm talking about things like remdesivir and things, killed huge numbers of people. So I do think we should be concerned. As always, I think the government response is drastically more concerning than any kind of pandemic, bird flu, Ebola, anything else. And, to touch on Ebola for a moment, too, Ebola, of course, is a very concerning pathogen, but on its own, it's not that concerning. When you weaponize it and make it much more contagious, make it easy to spread, then we're in a whole different ballgame. So they've been telling us they're going to do this for a long time. Even at the recent World Economic Forum, they talked about disease X that would be 20 times more deadly. And there's several key things happening in the background that I think are all directly related to this. The first is, of course, the coming 2024 election. The second is the WHO power grab, which is hugely significant. They are pretending like they had a minor defeat because they weren't able to get agreement on the World Health Assembly on the pandemic treaty, or the pandemic accord, as they're calling it now, so they can try to not get it passed through the Senate, ratified by the Senate in the U.S. But they did adopt the amendments to the international health regulations, so they're moving forward with that. Very, very, very concerning amendments. And they have also promised to deliver a pandemic treaty, a pandemic accord, either by the end of this year or at the absolute latest by May of 2025. So those two threats. And then you and I have talked before about the war on farmers, Dunnigan. People need to be paying attention. This bird flu thing, you've already got people like Deborah Birx, who ought to be in prison, by the way, telling us that we need to use PCR tests on every single cow every single week to find out if they've got bird flu. This is, I believe, just like it was during the last one, a pretext to create a huge number of false positives and start, instead of cranking up the hysteria on the tyranny side, although that'll certainly happen. This will be the perfect excuse to start killing enormous numbers of animals, chickens, ducks, hens, whatever it is, and also now cows. And they've been telling us they want to get rid of cows for how long? Openly, right? Cows are bad for the planet, cow global warming, whatever. This will be the perfect excuse to exterminate enormous number of cows, totally decimate the beef and dairy industries, and force us into this nightmarish future of laboratory-created meat, fake meat, chemicals, etc. So all these things, I don't think you can understand what they're doing with the bird flu without understanding, again, the war on farmers, the 2024 election, and the massive power grab from the World Health Organization.
When you've talked to us about
why is silver considered a secure asset during times of economic turmoil? To answer this, we need to delve into the intrinsic properties of silver and its historical role as a safe haven. Silver, like gold, has been used as a form of money and a store of value for thousands of years. Its unique properties make it not only a medium of exchange, but also a hedge against inflation and currency devaluation. Firstly, silver has inherent value. Unlike fiat currencies, which can be printed in unlimited quantities by central banks, silver is a finite resource. Its supply is constrained by the amount that can be mined and refined each year. This limited supply, combined with its demand in various industrial applications, helps maintain its value over time. When investors lose confidence in paper currencies due to inflation or other economic issues, they often turn to tangible assets like silver that cannot be devalued by government policy. Moreover, silver's historical role as a monetary metal adds to its appeal. Throughout history, silver has been used alongside gold as a form of currency and a standard of value. Many of the world's most stable and long-lasting currencies were based on the bimetallic standard, where both gold and silver were used as legal tender. This historical precedent reinforces silver's status as a reliable store of value during economic instability. In modern times, silver's role as a safe haven asset has been reinforced by its performance during market crises. During the 2008 financial crisis, for example, silver prices surged as investors sought refuge from the collapsing stock market and banking system. Similarly, during the COVID-19 pandemic, silver prices spiked as economic uncertainty grew and governments implemented unprecedented fiscal and monetary measures. Silver also serves as a hedge against inflation. Inflation erodes the purchasing power of money, making tangible assets like silver more attractive. When inflation rises, the value of paper currency decreases, but the value of silver tends to increase. This is because silver retains its purchasing power over time, unlike fiat currencies, which can lose value rapidly in an inflationary environment. Investors often flock to silver during periods of high inflation to preserve their wealth. In addition to its monetary attributes, silver's industrial applications add another layer of security to its value. Silver is widely used in various industries, including electronics, solar energy, and medical devices. Its unique properties, such as high conductivity and antimicrobial effects, make it indispensable in many modern technologies. As the demand for these technologies grows, so does the demand for silver. This industrial demand provides a stable base for silver's value, even in times of economic distress. The ongoing green revolution is a prime example of how industrial demand can drive silver prices. As the world shifts towards renewable energy and electric vehicles, the need for silver in solar panels, batteries, and other green technologies is increasing. This growing demand ensures that silver remains valuable, even as other assets fluctuate with market conditions. Furthermore, central banks and institutional investors often hold significant amounts of silver as part of their reserves. This practice provides additional stability to silver prices, as these entities can act as buyers of last resort, supporting the market during periods of extreme volatility. This institutional demand adds a layer of security to silver as an investment. In summary, silver is considered a secure asset due to its intrinsic value, historical role as a monetary metal, performance during past crises, and its ability to hedge against inflation. Its diverse industrial applications further bolster its value, providing a stable demand base. As we face the possibility of new pandemics, economic disruptions, and increased centralization of resources, silver's role as a safe haven asset becomes even more critical. This combination of factors makes silver a compelling choice for investors seeking security in uncertain times, supporting the idea that silver prices could indeed reach new heights. One of the most compelling reasons for silver's potential surge to $350 an ounce lies in its critical role in the green revolution and its growing industrial demand. As the world moves towards sustainable energy solutions and advanced technologies, silver's unique properties make it indispensable in a variety of applications, particularly in renewable energy and electronics. Silver's role in the green revolution is most prominently seen in the solar energy sector. Silver is a key component in photovoltaic (PV) cells, which convert sunlight into electricity. The metal's superior conductivity and reflectivity make it ideal for enhancing the efficiency of these cells. According to the Silver Institute, approximately 10% of annual silver demand comes from the solar industry. As countries ramp up their renewable energy targets to combat climate change, the demand for solar panels, and consequently, silver, is set to rise dramatically. China, the United States, and India are leading the charge in solar energy expansion. China, the world's largest producer of solar energy, continues to increase its installed solar capacity at an impressive rate. Similarly, the United States has seen significant growth in solar installations, driven by both federal incentives and state-level mandates. India, with its ambitious goal to achieve 100 GW of solar capacity by 2022, is also contributing to the robust demand for silver. This widespread adoption of solar technology underscores the metal's importance and supports its long-term value. In addition to solar energy, silver is crucial in the production of electric vehicles, EVs, and their infrastructure. EVs use silver in their electrical control systems, which are essential for the operation of the vehicle. Silver's high conductivity ensures efficient transmission of electricity within the vehicle's components, contributing to overall performance and reliability. As governments worldwide push for cleaner transportation solutions, the adoption of EVs is expected to surge, further driving demand for silver. Moreover, the development of charging infrastructure for EVs, particularly inductive charging systems, relies heavily on silver. Inductive charging uses electromagnetic fields to transfer energy between coils, and silver's superior conductivity enhances the efficiency of this process. As inductive charging technology becomes more prevalent, especially in public and commercial settings, the demand for silver will continue to grow. Beyond renewable energy and transportation, silver's antimicrobial properties make it invaluable in the healthcare industry. Silver is used in medical devices, wound dressings, and coatings for hospital surfaces to prevent infections. The ongoing emphasis on hygiene and infection control, particularly in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, ensures steady demand for silver in medical applications. The electronics industry is another significant driver of silver demand. Silver is used in various electronic devices, including smartphones, computers, and televisions, due to its excellent conductivity and durability. The proliferation of consumer electronics, coupled with advancements in technology, ensures a continual need for silver. As the Internet of Things, IoT, expands and 5G technology rolls out globally, the reliance on silver and electronic components will only increase. While technological advancements have led to more efficient use of silver, known as thrifting, the overall demand continues to rise due to the expanding market for these technologies. For instance, advancements in PV cell technology have reduced the amount of silver used per cell, but the exponential growth in solar installations compensates for this reduction. Similarly, while automotive manufacturers strive to use materials efficiently, the increasing number of EVs and their sophisticated electronic systems sustain high silver demand. The convergence of these factors, the rapid expansion of renewable energy, the shift towards electric vehicles, the critical role of silver in healthcare and electronics, paints a robust picture of silver's future demand. This industrial demand, combined with silver's status as a safe haven asset, creates a compelling case for significant price appreciation. In conclusion, silver's integral role in the green revolution and its diverse industrial applications provide a strong foundation for its value. As the world increasingly embraces sustainable technologies and advanced electronics, the demand for silver is set to grow. This industrial demand, coupled with economic uncertainties and the need for secure investments, supports the possibility of silver prices reaching unprecedented levels. Alex Newman's prediction of silver climbing to $350 an ounce is grounded in these tangible and transformative trends. making it a scenario worth considering seriously.
The trend back in 2012. I used to live in South Africa, and so I have a special place in my heart for South Africa, which is not really a nation, by the way. It's a collection of nations all amalgamated together under this freakish communist regime. But you had the president of South Africa in 2012, Jacob Zuma, a polygamist weirdo whose defense at a rape trial was her conga was really short, openly singing on stage in front of the military, "Bring me my machine gun, we're going to shoot all the Boers." Now, Boers are farmers. Right? Julius Malema, who was the head of the ANC Youth League, by the way, a genocidal maniac and a Marxist, openly singing, "Kill the Boer." Right? He actually got in trouble for singing the "Kill the Boer" song. He said, "We're going to kill the farmer, kill the farmer, kill the Boer, kill the farmer." Now, when he got in trouble, now he sings "Kiss the Farmer," which everybody knows means kill the farmer. So 2012, over a decade ago, why would you want to kill the farmer? The farmer is the one who feeds you. And by the way, South African farmers are the Afrikaners. They are the most productive farmers in the world, man for man. They feed more people, man for man, than any other farmers on earth. And yet, you have this incredible string of murders against these farmers. Estimates say there was about 30 or 40,000 commercial farmers in South Africa. Somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 of them have already been slaughtered in the most barbaric ways imaginable. I mean, we're talking torturing babies. We're talking about drilling holes in old women. We're talking about men forced to watch their wives being raped, things that are just unspeakable in a genocidal campaign of terror. Now, that was bad enough on its own. Marxist terrorists always do those kinds of things. Then the next year, I saw in Brazil, the Brazilian government was cranking up the hysteria against all these agricultural communities and some of the most productive farmland in the world by claiming that at some point hundreds of years ago, Indians might have lived there or walked through there. So I did a series of big stories on this for World Met Daily, for the New American Magazine. Again, I used to live in Brazil, got a lot of contacts down there. I started making phone calls. What's going on here? I called the government. They said, "Oh, this was Indian land. We got to give it back to the Indians." Well, I called the Indians, the Zavanchi Indians, who were supposed to be getting this land back. And their chief said, no, that's not our land. We never lived there. We're Indians of the Floresta, the jungle, not the Cerrado, this kind of prairie area where the farms were. And yet the government, militarized police wearing blue helmets, was going in there and literally holding these villagers at gunpoint, forcing them to dismantle their homes, loading it all up on trucks, and clearing out entire agricultural villages. Just this one operation took almost 500,000 acres of the most productive farmland in the world out of production. And that was just the tip of the iceberg in Brazil. Then I started seeing it happen in other places. The Communist Chinese government came out and said they were going to relocate 250 million peasant farmers off of their land into these giant, nasty, totally controlled, surveilled apartments that they had built for them in cities. And there it wasn't under the guise of Indians. It wasn't under the guise of racial justice or economic transformation. There it was under the guise of efficiency. And then we saw in the U.S., right? How could we forget the Bundy Ranch? There was over 50 cattle ranches in that area of Clark County in Nevada. By the time they finally got to removing the Bundy Ranch, they were the last cattle ranch standing. It all started, by the way, under the guise of saving a desert tortoise. Okay, so all these different excuses. Then the Netherlands, it was, nitrogen, global warming, whatever. All over the world, different excuses, same end objective: remove independent farmers, ranchers, food producers from their land, centralize control of the agricultural system. And I could go on. There's many, many more examples, but it gives you a sense of what's happening here. It's not about racial justice. It's not about Indians. It's not about climate change. It's about destroying the food supply, transforming it, and having total centralized control over everything that everybody in the world.
As we delve deeper into the factors that could propel silver prices to $350 an ounce, it's important to examine the potential economic disruptions that could act as catalysts. These disruptions create an environment where the demand for safe haven assets like silver surges dramatically, pushing prices higher. Let's explore some of these scenarios in detail. Firstly, the possibility of new pandemics poses a significant threat to global economic stability. The COVID-19 pandemic has already shown us how quickly and severely a health crisis can disrupt economies worldwide. New pandemics could lead to renewed lockdowns, disrupted supply chains, and widespread economic uncertainty. Such conditions typically drive investors to seek refuge in precious metals. The fear and uncertainty surrounding health crises increase the appeal of tangible assets like silver, which are perceived as more stable compared to fiat currencies and other financial instruments. Additionally, the centralization of control over resources is another potential disruption. Governments and large corporations are increasingly consolidating control over critical resources such as energy, water, and even food supplies. This centralization can lead to monopolistic practices, reduce competition, and increase prices for essential goods and services. In such a scenario, the public and investors alike may lose confidence in the ability of centralized entities to manage these resources efficiently and fairly. This loss of confidence often results in a flight to precious metals, which are seen as a hedge against systemic risk and economic mismanagement. Another significant disruption could come from geopolitical tensions and conflicts. Rising political and military tensions between major world powers can create economic instability and market volatility. Historical precedents show that during times of war or severe geopolitical strife, the demand for safe haven assets like silver increases. For example, during the Gulf War in the early 1990s and the more recent tensions in the Middle East, silver prices experienced upward pressure. If similar conflicts were to arise or if existing tensions escalate, we could see a substantial increase in silver prices as investors seek to protect their assets from geopolitical risks. Furthermore, the potential for severe economic policy shifts could also disrupt markets. Central banks around the world have been employing unconventional monetary policies, such as negative interest rates and massive quantitative easing programs, to stimulate their economies. While these measures have provided short-term relief, they have also led to concerns about long-term economic health and the potential for hyperinflation. If central banks are forced to reverse these policies abruptly due to unforeseen economic conditions, it could lead to significant market turmoil and increased demand for silver as a staple store of value. The risk of cyber attacks on financial systems is another disruption that cannot be overlooked. As financial institutions and markets become increasingly digitized, they also become more vulnerable to cyber threats. A successful cyber attack on a major financial institution or market infrastructure could cause widespread panic and a loss of trust in digital financial systems. In such an event, the demand for physical assets like silver, which are not reliant on digital systems, would likely surge as investors seek to safeguard their wealth. Natural disasters and climate change also pose potential economic disruptions. Extreme weather events, such as hurricanes, floods, and wildfires, can cause significant economic damage and disrupt global supply chains. These events can lead to increased uncertainty and volatility in financial markets. As the frequency and severity of such events increase due to climate change, the demand for secure and reliable assets like silver could rise. Silver's role in green technologies, such as solar panels, further enhances its appeal as an investment during times of environmental crisis. Lastly, the ongoing technological revolution and automation could disrupt labor markets and economic structures. While technological advancements bring about increased efficiency and new opportunities, they also pose the risk of widespread job displacement and economic inequality. If automation leads to significant unemployment and social unrest, it could create economic instability and increase the demand for safe haven assets like silver. As we delve deeper into the factors that could propel silver prices to $350 an ounce, it's important to examine the potential economic disruptions that could act as catalysts. These disruptions create an environment where the demand for safe haven assets like silver surges dramatically, pushing prices higher. Let's explore some of these scenarios in detail. Firstly, the possibility of new pandemics poses a significant threat to global economic stability. The COVID-19 pandemic has already shown us how quickly and severely a health crisis can disrupt economies worldwide. New pandemics could lead to renewed lockdowns, disrupted supply chains, and widespread economic uncertainty. Such conditions typically drive investors to seek refuge in precious metals. The fear and uncertainty surrounding health crises increase the appeal of tangible assets like silver, which are perceived as more stable compared to fiat currencies and other financial instruments. Additionally, the centralization of control over resources is another potential disruption. Governments and large corporations are increasingly consolidating control over critical resources, such as energy, water, and even food supplies. This centralization can lead to monopolistic practices, reduce competition, and increase prices for essential goods and services. In such a scenario, the public and investors alike may lose confidence in the ability of centralized entities to manage these resources efficiently and fairly. This loss of confidence often results in a flight to precious metals, which are seen as a hedge against systemic risk and economic mismanagement. Another significant disruption could come from geopolitical tensions and conflicts. Rising political and military tensions between major world powers can create economic instability and market volatility. Historical precedents show that during times of war or severe geopolitical strife, the demand for safe haven assets like silver increases. For example, during the Gulf War in the early 1990s and the more recent tensions in the Middle East, silver prices experienced upward pressure. If similar conflicts were to arise or if existing tensions escalate, we could see a substantial increase in silver prices as investors seek to protect their assets from geopolitical risks. Furthermore, the potential for severe economic policy shifts could also disrupt markets. Central banks around the world have been employing unconventional monetary policies, such as negative interest rates and massive quantitative easing programs, to stimulate their economies. While these measures have provided short-term relief, they also led to concerns about long-term economic health and the potential for hyperinflation. If central banks are forced to reverse these policies abruptly due to unforeseen economic conditions, it could lead to significant market turmoil and increased demand for silver as a staple store of value. Natural disasters and climate change also pose potential economic disruptions. Extreme weather events, such as hurricanes, floods, and wildfires, can cause significant economic damage and disrupt global supply chains. These events can lead to increased uncertainty and volatility in financial markets. As the frequency and severity of such events increase due to climate change, the demand for secure and reliable assets like silver could rise. Silver's role in green technologies, such as solar panels, further enhances its appeal as an investment during times of environmental crisis. Lastly, the ongoing technological revolution and automation could disrupt labor markets and economic structures. While technological advancements bring about increased efficiency and new opportunities, they also pose the risk of widespread job displacement and economic inequality. If automation leads to significant unemployment and social unrest, it could create economic instability
echo everything
and
you
increase
just
the
said,
demand
and
for
the
safe haven
point
assets
about
like
talking
silver.
to others, getting in community cannot be overemphasized. If you don't have a network of people around you that you know, that you trust, whether it be through a church or a homeschool co-op or a neighborhood watch, whatever it is, get working on that right now, because that can make all the difference in the world. Get to know your local officials, get to know your neighbors, right? Go knock on the door, bring them some cookies, bring them some brownies, whatever it is. Just get those relationships in place right now. And to your point, people all over the world that recognize it. I just got back from the Caribbean, and I'm talking to like taxi drivers, and they're like, "Oh yeah, they're trying to kill us." Like, I mean, people know this stuff, but if you just sit at home and watch your TV, they want you to think that you and your wife are the only ones on the planet who recognize this whole thing is a fraud. Don't fall for it.
After exploring the multifaceted drivers behind silver's potential surge, it's clear that the convergence of economic instability, industrial demand, and market dynamics supports Alex Newman's bold prediction. The stage is set for silver to climb to unprecedented heights, reaching $350 an ounce. Let's summarize how this could unfold and why it's a scenario worth serious consideration. Firstly, the historical performance of silver during times of economic crisis shows a consistent pattern. When uncertainty and fear grip the markets, investors flock to precious metals. The current economic landscape is rife with potential triggers for such a rush. The looming threat of new pandemics, as we've seen with COVID-19, has the power to disrupt global economies, induce market volatility, and undermine confidence in fiat currencies. In such times, silver's intrinsic value and historical role as a safe haven make it a prime candidate for investment. Secondly, the unprecedented levels of debt and expansive monetary policies by central banks worldwide have created a precarious economic environment. The potential for inflation or even hyperinflation is a real concern. As central banks print more money to stimulate economies, the value of fiat currencies can erode, leading investors to seek refuge in tangible assets like silver. This metal's ability to retain its purchasing power over time makes it an ideal hedge against inflationary pressures. Furthermore, the centralization of control over essential resources such as energy, food, and water adds another layer of risk. This centralization can lead to inefficiencies, price hikes, and reduced public trust in the management of these resources. In such a scenario, silver's status as a decentralized infinite resource enhances its appeal. It offers a form of economic security that is independent of centralized control, making it an attractive investment during times of resource scarcity and mismanagement. The ongoing green revolution amplifies silver's industrial demand, particularly in solar energy and electric vehicles. As the world accelerates its shift towards renewable energy, the demand for silver in photovoltaic cells and electric vehicle components is set to soar. Countries like China, the United States, and India are heavily investing in solar infrastructure, driving up the need for silver. Similarly, the global push for electric vehicles, supported by government policies and incentives, ensures a steady demand for silver in the automotive sector. This industrial demand, combined with silver's traditional role as a monetary metal, creates a dual source of support for its price. Expert opinions and institutional forecasts further bolster the case for silver. Analysts like David Morgan, Mike Maloney, and Peter Schiff highlight the metal's undervaluation and its potential for significant appreciation. Their insights, coupled with bullish forecasts from major financial institutions, underscore the unique position silver holds in the current market. These respected voices lend credibility to the prediction of a substantial rise in silver prices. Potential economic disruptions, such as geopolitical tensions, cyber threats, and natural disasters, add additional layers of complexity and risk to the global economy. Each of these factors has the potential to trigger increased demand for safe haven assets like silver. As investors seek stability amidst these uncertainties, silver's appeal grows stronger. In conclusion, the convergence of these factors creates a compelling case for silver's ascent to $350 an ounce. Historical precedents, economic conditions, industrial demand, expert insights, and potential disruptions all point towards a significant increase in silver prices. Alex Newman's prediction is grounded in a thorough understanding of these dynamics, making it a plausible and realistic scenario. For investors, this means now is the time to consider silver as a critical component of their portfolio. As we navigate through these uncertain times, silver offers a beacon of stability and security, with the potential for remarkable returns. Remember, this is not financial or investment advice, but an exploration of the possibilities based on current trends and expert analyses. Always conduct your own research and consider seeking advice from financial professionals before making investment decisions. And if you found this analysis insightful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth discussions on market trends and investment strategies. Stay tuned and stay informed.